Welcome back to the morning show right here on ETV. Now, the 2025 budget speech has been tabled and many South Africans are wondering what this means for them. And with the rising cost of living, higher interest rates and businesses trying to stay afloat, making smart financial decisions has never been more important. And to help us break it all down in simple terms, we're joined by Lerato Thwane, who's the head of e-commerce at Xpert Decision Systems, which is a leading credit information bureau. Lerato, welcome to the morning show. It's so good to have you with us.
Thank you.
I think, there's just like great conversation surrounding the budget speech and what it actually just means for South Africans. I think in this present moment, we're obviously waiting for it to come into effect. We're obviously just waiting for parties to vote on the matter, right? But I think one of the things that really was addressed in the budget speech was, of course, the rising debt and funding constraints, right? Let's talk about this and the Credit Bureau. Does the Credit Bureau then play a role in the rising debt that the country is facing?
So the Credit Bureau's role really is to collect the information, store it, and then disseminate it.
Yeah.
So it's a structured way that it's collected and then distributed so that it's consistent information that is provided all the way through, and it's also reliable. Obviously, you can understand the importance of the decisions that are taken based on that data.
Yeah.
So you need to always make sure that it's above board.
Okay. Let's then talk about credit bureaus just in their entirety. I think there tends to be a bit of a misunderstanding with the sort of role that the Credit Bureau plays, especially in the world of civilians of South Africa, right? Can you talk to us and run us through the sort of role that credit bureaus play then in the lives of South Africans?
Okay, so you can look at it as them keeping a scorecard for how you are managing your finances, specifically your credit.
Yeah.
So basically, every time you borrow money and from be it a bank or you take a credit from a retail store, a cell phone contract, etc., that record is kept. And Credit Bureau are charged with that responsibility to keep those records and make sure that they're available for the next person who needs to lend you money.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is to understand what is your culture of paying. Are you paying regularly? Do you keep to your promises? Are you a reliable person? Can people borrow you more money in the future? Should they be more cautious when they're dealing with you because perhaps you didn't pay, you skipped months and all those things? So they just keep that information so that future lenders can be able to have a record to be able to look at. But they also play a very good role in assisting consumers. So when you do find, because it does happen that people find themselves in trouble.
Yes.
So when you do find yourself in trouble and you haven't been paying your debt well, you can go to a credit bureau and they've got facilities where they can help you to restore that and to fix that. Also, there's things like identity theft that happened. So there's fraud that would have happened under your name that you weren't aware of. So regularly checking your credit scores in those facilities. So at XDS, we've got a facility called Splendi, which is a platform where you can go into and check your credit report as many times as you want. It's a free service. And most credit bureaus have those free services. And as a result, you get, first of all, to be informed, and then you can do something about what you see there, whether it's to fix your own actions or to query whatever is not relevant to you.
I like that you mentioned that, because then what then do become my options? Like you've said, then you can go and query what you have then discovered and what you have then found in a situation where I maybe am a victim of a crime that has been committed using my credentials. What then are my options to then find myself in, better standing?
There's a prescribed process. So what you do, you can go and dispute with the credit bureau. At Splendi, we even allow you to dispute online on the Splendi platform.
Oh, lovely.
So you see a list of all your accounts, and then if you're seeing something that doesn't belong to you, then you're able to say, this particular one does not belong to me, and then we allow you to upload all the supporting documents to prove that it wasn't you, and we do an investigation. Within 20 days, we need to come back to you and give you a response, and usually if it is fraud, then we take out that record of your name.
Yeah.
And then you then have an opportunity to go and look at how you can restore that with the credit providers as well, because we work with the credit providers. Remember, we don't put the record that the credit providers do. So if, for example, someone opened a game with your name, like they did with my sister once, so what she had to do, she obviously cleared herself with the credit bureau, and then also Game did their own investigation. They were able to establish that it was not her ID and all those things. So the record gets removed.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think, just in light of what has been mentioned in the proposed budget for this fiscal year, I think this has created a bit of a panic within consumers' minds. Already, I think we're just finding ourselves in dire situations financially, and a lot of people are just feeling like the proposed VAT increase is just going to put us in a very, very dire situation. For consumers, because I really want us to put focus on the consumer, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to need to navigate whatever changes may get into effect. For consumers that might find themselves needing to deal with an increased VAT, what are some of the things that then a consumer can start conscientizing themselves towards if we do find ourselves dealing with an increase in VAT?
Absolutely. So it's a time to start building your financial resilience as an individual, to think about the future and not only think about today, to be really careful and cautious with your spending. So it's going back to knowing. So knowing, first of all, you need that information to know where you stand. So write up that budget, work out, know where your expenses go, and then just do all that work to try and understand what you really need and what is the little luxuries. And I mean, you want to do that for yourself as well, but just be careful about where you put your money, because as things become more expensive, you think that I used to afford to have a drink at the bar after work on a regular basis, and suddenly you really cannot.
Have to cut down,
you need to go back home, eat at home, and all those things. So you need to be able to know what you're doing, make those adjustments, stick to your savings, because what we often do is that then you start pulling from your savings, so making yourself worse off for the future, giving up investments, and even worse, taking up more credit to finance regular lifestyle things. So that's not advised. So it's a time where, because as you see how the budget looks, it tells you that the economy is not going to grow at a very fast pace. So things can only get worse before they get better. So you want to make sure that you can still stand firm. Interest rates are not going to go down as rapidly, so it means that you'll still be paying more for your debt. So try and cut down on debt, pay off most of your debt, especially the ones that attract higher interest rates, and just really be careful.
I think it is very important for us to cut down on our debt as much as possible. But we hear a lot about alternative financing and digital transformation, especially in the world of business, right? Can you take us through that and maybe explain what this means and how businesses can actually use it to survive and possibly grow?
So for digital transformation, it's a means to be able to scale your business without spending a lot of money on the inputs. So the more you digitize, the more you are able to just scale, go exponentially without having to feel the pinch on the expenses side. So it's advised, automate, do all you can do, use technology rather than people. I mean, it's been pushed all over. And when it comes to financing, so what's key for this budget is that, as you can see, that the interest rates are going to remain higher. It means that borrowing is going to be harder. And if borrowing is difficult for businesses, it means that they can't grow at the pace that they wanted to grow. They can't follow through with the plans that they had. So that in itself means they need to be creative and think about what else should we do. So those alternative financing measures. So there's a lot of innovation that has happened in the financing market, where you go outside of the banks. So there's crowdfunding where people can come. There's peer-to-peer lending where other businesses can come in and also you all come together. There's even something called invoice factoring, where you can sell your invoices to another party at a discount, and then when the invoices get paid, they get their money, but they would have given you money up front. So it's a form of a bridging finance, if you think about it. And so there's all those different alternatives that are less stringent. They will also be a little bit more flexible, and they will allow you to still grow without feeling the pinch of those high interest rates.
I think just in wrapping up our conversation, just for the viewer that is listening to this conversation right now, that is watching the show, is there a need for us to panic with what has been proposed so far?
No need to panic, but yes, there is a need for you to be more considerate about what you're doing. So you need to be proactive. Don't wait for the disaster to happen. Be proactive.
Yeah.
So those that are proactive and they take action, they plan now, will see the fruit in the future, and they'll be a lot more comfortable than those that will be caught off guard when things start to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lerato, thank you so much for your time and for helping us, understand things from a consumer perspective, because I think ultimately, generally people are just thinking about the things that government should be doing, but ultimately they will then make a decision and things will come into effect, and we then need to manage ourselves and know how we are then spending our money. So thank you for helping us break some of those things down, and we appreciate your contribution to the show.
Thank you.
That was Lerato with us right here on the morning show, just breaking things down for us. I think it's clear that staying informed and making smart financial moves is more important than ever. So whether you're a business owner or just trying to stretch your salary further, understanding your credit, budgeting wisely, and adapting to economic changes can actually make